Jupiter, your path, frequency, and chart spirit ruler. So a lot of the stuff that I'll talk about today is stuff that most of us know. Maybe I'll use different words or a little bit different angle to get us, I guess, expanding our consciousness a little bit, which is a good Jupiter term around what Jupiter is. There's also a few things that in my own life, as I've been exploring this archetype, that have come forward as sort of what feels resonant with me. And so I'm excited to share those with you and to see what you think if you've had similar experiences. All right, so in esoteric astrology, Jupiter is part of Ray 2, and that's the ray of love wisdom, and the law of cohesion, which is forming a united whole. So when we're working with Jupiter, it's about uniting polarization and duality. It's uniting love. And consciousness in this context is love. And Jupiter unites from the heart. It makes the impersonal, or what we consider to be universal, more personal, and the personal more impersonal, so that we're less attached to those things. In some ways, it helps us relate to the whole or the greater good more so than we might naturally. And this is Jiddu Krishnamurti is one of my, well, has been very influential in my own spiritual practice and just philosophy and kind of just grasp of life in general. And I love this quote of his: if you love not God, because it's very easy to love God because God is an abstraction, but if you love, that very love is God, and that very love is sacred. And to me, that embodies a lot of how my experience of Jupiter to be. So a little more about Jupiter. Jupiter rules the arteries, and just like arteries carry oxygenated blood from the heart to the body, Jupiter carries life and love energy from source to self. And so you can think of Jupiter as the path of life or spirit into you. And it's also how you can consciously get in the flow. Now, we already know, right? Jupiter is big energy. It's alive. It's inspired. You know, it's I have a personal practice and something that I work with clients and share about living planets first. In fact, I did a star club on it a few years ago. And I, for a long time, didn't want to choose Jupiter first, to live that planet first, because it's such a big field. It's opening a lot. It's asking for a lot from yourself. Jupiter is that way. A few more things about Jupiter. Jupiter is linked with ethics. And for me, ethics is your right way to live, your natural code, or your philosophy. And it's about experiencing and discovering human nature as it is. So this whole connection with natural law, or the natural laws of the universe, falls into this the domain of Jupiter. It's certainly linked with intuition, right? And intuition is the blending of feeling and thought. And I brought this up earlier, but Jupiter, expansion of consciousness. Wherever Jupiter is in your chart, whatever it's aspecting, whatever it's touching by transit, it is trying to expand your consciousness, expand so there's room for more. When Stephen Forrest talks about Jupiter, he always says, wherever Jupiter is, whatever it's doing, the question is, how have you underestimated yourself? What more is there for you to see, be, do, you know, all those things. So it's where you need to make more room. You know, if you open the space, it will come. I guess it's kind of like that. I think it was Field of Dreams, right? That movie, right? If you build it, they will come. So in the same sort of feel, if you open the space with Jupiter, then there's room for more to come in, which is one of the things, you know, we think about Jupiter being associated with good luck and fortunate turns and all those things, and it certainly can be, but we have to be open for that to happen. And to me, the people that we really consider to be, you know, quote unquote lucky, they were available for life to happen at that time. You know, I sometimes talk about, you know, you could have like a giant bag of money sitting outside your front door, but if you never go outside your front door, you will never get it. So it's that same sort of concept. This idea with Jupiter to be something more, and more of who you really are. You know, back to that idea of the natural law, who we naturally are. I'll talk about this more, but our natural frequency, right? That is symbolized, at least in part, by Jupiter. And if we want to link the tarot into this, the Wheel of Fortune card is the Jupiter card. And this gets back to what I was just mentioning, how Opportunities arise when you are available for them. So Jupiter, where and how you can really grow and be successful. And there's lots of ways to define that, but there's always more room when Jupiter shows up if you want it. Jupiter and self-honesty. Jupiter is linked with personal truth. And it's not just what's true for you, that's part of it, right? What you believe, what your life philosophy is, what you think is quote unquote right for you. But to me, the more important part is what's true you, right? Getting to that space within yourself. So being honest with yourself is something that Jupiter asks wherever it is when it comes around, when it comes to town. I think of myself right now with Jupiter on my ascendant. There's a space that needs to open for me. Am I being honest with myself? What I can do? Am I really doing what I can do? What has meaning? All these things. It's also being honest with others and just seeing the truth in general. And then I just like to think of it as just being true. And when you look that up in the dictionary, at least under dictionary.com, true is being in accordance with the actual state or conditions. So this gets back to the truth of what is, right? Not what we want it to be, not what someone else says it is, but what actually is. And there's always an unraveling in that process of getting to that space, right? So, but I feel like Jupiter is part of that. When in my early classes years ago with Laura Nalbandian, she used to always say that Jupiter is like shines a giant flashlight. And for better or for worse, whatever is there, you will see more and get more so that you can actually discover what's actually happening inside and outside. Oops, too fast. Jupiter in the signs and houses. So Jupiter in your chart by sign and house. And you can apply this as well to transits or other techniques as well. Where and how you are ready to see more of what we are and what life is. Your Jupiter sign, how you can find more natural you, me, and life in these mysteries. So for example, if it's Capricorn, in the Capricorn mysteries, or what we sometimes call the Capricorn domain of consciousness, right? The idea that each sign is this big field, this big domain of consciousness. So if you have Jupiter in Capricorn, experiencing and exploring that domain helps you find more real you, more real me, more of what life truly is in a bigger concept, right? The overarching, I guess, pattern or concept and meaning that holds all the little bits and pieces. Jupiter house, types of experiences that show you, more life, and where natural laws, rhythms, and truths show up for you. So if you're into this and you want more of this energy, if it's, an important part in your birth chart that is something for you to step into and experience more and embody, spend time with and in the sign and house, because it makes awakening to these energies more likely. Choosing to be in that space, in those energies with those type of people, that's what helps us get to that next level of consciousness.